Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the broadcast. Tonight we're going to be continuing our Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Trilogy playthrough. We are in the case of let's make all the shaky conjecture we want. You have to prove evidence. We'll see how it goes. There was at least one moment of we had to look it up last time. Hopefully that will change. But before we go any further, let's check in with the kitties. We do have Sky up on the tree, and we have a rare triple on the bed. We have Mason and Sherbet piled up on the blanket with Sammy on the pillow. Ember is getting some food, so she is off camera. But it's been a busy week. I still need to replace one of the monitors, so again, please forgive me if I don't notice something in chat or I don't react properly, or at least how I would want. How do I deal with all the cat hair? It's generally not too much of a problem. It does mean you gotta pay more attention to cleaning things out, like, you know, peripherals. It's not as much of a problem for keyboards, but, you know, you got to pay attention to a mouse. I think I extracted several inches worth of cat hair from my from one of my mouse lenses recently. It just kept unspooling out of it. The PCs in that are kept in a separate area that doesn't have as much dust and no cat hair. So that's not really a problem. And I think that would be the big thing. When I had a pair of Maine Coons, cat hair was an issue. Maine Coon cat hair is one of the kinds that they test pet vacuums on because it will felt up if it gets rubbed together. So like a standard bristle brush will, within one pass, like if you try to vacuum an area where a Maine Coon cat is with carpet, it will actually entangle the whole bristle brush. You have to cut it free. Hello there, cats. Oh, and hello, really. Welcome to both of you. It is a gaming night. It is a gaming night. So we are going to be picking up with our Ace Attorney playthrough. I don't have the... I will be loading the game shortly. The music on the title screen is obnoxious, so I tend to wait to load that because you can't turn it off. Or at least the minimum setting is super loud. That's right, cats. We've got a triple on the bed right now. I don't know how long that'll last, but, you know, let's take advantage of it. Oh, we've got all five. Here comes Ember to her spot. So up in that tree is Sky's spot. If he's going to lay down, he prefers that. He will go snuggle with Ember now and again. Are you looking at the camera? Ember's spot is across from the keyboard. And for the most part, Sammy prefers the bed, as does Sherbet, and to some extent Mason. Mason's just off camera on the bed. Oh. Let's see how it goes tonight. This is a narrative game. This is essentially a very interactive visual novel, so I have plenty of time to chat, folks. Don't worry about it. So let's go here. So loud. I mean, it's not bad music. It's just the high setting is rupture eardrums, and what we have now is the minimum setting without turn it off. There are like 5 toggles. That's not a problem, cats. I frequently forget to adjust the schedule until too late. So just like last week, or at least early this week, where I had something scheduled when it wasn't supposed to be. Uh, it's better for me to think that I messed up the schedule than it is for me to not look and assume that it's right. All right. The Right Anything Agency is largely doesn't look like a law firm because Trucy, Phoenix's daughter, I assume adopted daughter, is a stage magician. So pretty much everything is hers since Phoenix is no longer a lawyer. Hey, Apollo. And I don't voice act. I've tried before. It wrecks my throat faster than just reading it will. What? Well, actually nothing. I mean, something, or maybe not. Uh, the concept of the Ace Attorney games is a over-the-top kind of fictional criminal justice system where the assumption is generally guilty until proven innocent, and I do mean proven innocent. Uh, so if the prosecution says they came in the room and shot the guy, and they provide no conclusive evidence to it, then you have to prove that they couldn't have done that. And in general, you have to prove who did in order to clear the accusation. That being said, it is soap opera level drama sometimes. So we'll see how we do. Not familiar with that, Cats. Not familiar with that, so I couldn't say. Out with it. The suspense is giving me an ulcer. Well, the trial today, I was thinking. If you gave it a score, what score would you give it? Score? Gee golly willikers. I guess I would, or maybe, well, bah, I'm just as bad as you. See, it's so vague. Clearly. Maki avoided a guilty verdict, which is something. Okay, so quick recap of this case. We have a lead prosecutor who is also the lead singer for a internationally famous band that is composed almost entirely of high-level prosecutors and investigators who had a concert that we were invited to, during which they had a guest singer who is also internationally famous, whose translator was shot and killed in a room that nobody should have had access to. And the only one that the prosecution asserts could have gotten in the room through the air vents is the accused. They base this on the size of the vent and pretty much nothing else. She does have a very kind of heavy anime appearance. We have seen a couple of other characters that have the magician outfit with her same vibe, the card suit uh look and feel. So she has a diamond brooch, that kind of thing. If you look in the background in the upper left, there is a gray like photo of another person in a similar magician's outfit with a club brooch. We can't see the face, the top half of the face of this person. I assume that's Trucy's biological father, because if Trucy was Phoenix's actual daughter in the storyline, she must have been conceived like when he was in college, while like rabidly trying to pursue a woman who was trying to kill him. And that we never heard of her until this point, well into the future, like eight or so years past the Ace Attorney games. That's the game, yes. That was the prior trial, where we had a very wannabe mafioso as the defendant. Can't say I'm any less confused about the case. This is Darian, one of our high-level detectives in the band, who wears... Initially, I thought it was going to be a kigurumi, but it's just a jacket that has a, like, shark fang motif. And the biggest, most phallic pompadour ever. I asked Interpol about that number. I'm sure you'll find their answer intriguing. Number. The agent registered under this number was Romain Latouche. Most of the names in Ace Attorney are references or puns. So, Romain Latouche is romaine lettuce. He was the fake translator for the guest singer because she is, like, publicity-wise, she is unable to speak any language but her native one. And she leads around her young piano prodigy who is blind. And she has the translator. But she doesn't need the translator. She can speak English. And the prodigy isn't blind. She is. He fakes being blind. Because her original PR team didn't know she was blind when they signed her. Like, the PR team didn't. So they called her, like, a painter or something like that. And they had to keep up the ruse because they found out later. It's very convoluted. So, keeping with the theme, Phoenix Wright is, justice rise from the ashes kind of thing. His Japanese name is Naruhodo, which is kind of like IC kind of thing, but not quite. I understand IC. It's not a one-to-one. That's new. So Trucy Wright is truth, truthy. Apollo Justice. If you look, these are all magician's props. You have the linked rings that the magician, like, puts together and takes apart without seeming being able to. You have the 3 cups and balls where they, they change where the balls are, make them vanish and appear kind of thing. You've got the standard magic wand. I suspect this is one of the escape tricks, kind of like saw the lady in half kind of thing. You do have the magic box in the background where a person would get in the box and they, slice them apart and move the boxes around kind of thing. And then right here, the plate of spaghetti is apparently what she saw in a store window that inspired her to do magic, stage magic. It is, it's like a plastic plate of spaghetti. So it looks like the fork is hovering, holding the spaghetti. I do like the profile. I do. I do wish I could get the winking down. It would be nice. The victim, Mr. Latouche, who would have guessed he was actually an undercover Interpol agent? We have no idea why Interpol would have an undercover agent with this singer. What a mess. It is indeed. We don't have any idea what he was investigating. Well, true, but we know who shot him now. Lamoureux told the whole court. Wait, that voice just now. So, Shark Pompadour guy is who the blind singer said she heard in the room with the murder victim at around the time that he got shot, where she said she heard gunshots. The prosecution is asserting she couldn't possibly have heard the gunshots because there was a small window in the way. And clearly the walls were like thick concrete. Him, I was sure of it. That voice I heard talking to Mr. Latouche when I heard the gunshots fired. It was him. It was Mr. Darien. Lamaror is female presenting. As far as the game is concerned, we don't have any disparity between gender and presenting so far. That's usually not the case. The game is old enough that we have in prior games seen some bad stereotypes on that front, but you know. Well, thanks, Limitless Gladiator. Thank you. We can see 3 of the 5 there, and they are indeed cute. I hope we have a good day, too. Thanks for swinging through. Thanks for subscribing. Mr. Darien. It's another mystery, Apollo. I love mysteries. This game, we think... maybe 5 to 10. It was just recently released on Steam, and it had been released on mobile platforms before, but this is just recently on Steam. I don't recall when it was originally released, but I know at least one part of the trilogy that this game represents was back on the 3DS, or maybe just it was back on DS or 3DS. I don't. Speaking of mysteries, what's Mr. Wright up to? I wouldn't mind asking his opinion. Now that you mention it, I haven't seen Daddy around. I have an Instagram, but it's largely a placeholder Instagram. It's there just so I have my screen name and whatnot reserved, just like Facebook. I'm not really fond of either of those platforms. Instagram is okay, but the fact that you have to link it to a Facebook account is painful. I have social media accounts on platforms I don't really use, with the assumption that if it becomes a platform that I need to use, because it becomes a popular platform, I will have an account, and I don't need to worry that somebody else has made an account with my name. It's still possible. There are lots of platforms out there, but you know, you gotta anticipate things. What is he, some kind of stray that just wanders in and out at will? I mean, kinda. Wouldn't say that, but he has been going out a lot. Some top secret mission, he said. Top secret. Anyway, you can't just rely on him to save the day. And you've got to help me. And you've got to help, and you've got me to help you. We'll be fine. Fine. Right. Well, time's a-wasting, as they say. Let's investigate. So, the singer's assertion that the other guy was in the room kind of changed the script a little bit. So now we have somebody who claims that they're a witness, but is only that they heard. And the prosecution and the judge is leaning on the fact that they originally said they saw something that they couldn't have because they were blind, on and on, to say, like, well, she's not a reliable witness. It's a theme in the game that the prosecution gets to lie, withhold evidence, um, gloss over critical evidence, that kind of thing, but you can't. In some of the games, the prosecution is allowed to physically assault you during the trial. It has no real impact on gameplay, but it is a visual element. We have had a prosecutor with a bullwhip. We have had a prosecutor that throws mugs of coffee. We had a witness that had like pet birds that would fly over and like peck at you, that kind of thing. And yes, Apollo is our POV character. We will actually see him. The point of view swings out to, or the visual point of view swings out to third person during the trial. Oh, um, I think I know what's going wrong. 1 second. Fixed it. As something was laying on top of the gamepad that I use for games that need it, and was holding the one of the analogs down. Now I have to remember all the buttons for this game compared to other games I've been playing. I just tried to press F to continue. Maki may not be guilty, but he's still a suspect. Bit of a roulette wheel vibe. But they don't have any decisive evidence. Yeah, they don't have really any evidence that it was him that killed him. In fact, they really have like evidence that says he probably didn't. They have no evidence that he went through the vents. They just speculate that somebody could have used the vent to get in and out of the room. Uh, the murder weapon was a giant, like 45 revolver that probably would have knocked the kid on his back, firing it once, and we know it was fired twice, with the first shot missing. Hey there, Sherry. We're just getting started with the next investigation day of what I think is the third trial of the Apollo Justice Trilogy's first game. Stretch the back a little bit. Beverage. It's a very narrative game, so feel free to chat, ask questions, that kind of thing. Additionally, after they had found the body and they did some further investigating, uh, the one of the guards had asked Apollo and Trucy to stay and watch the body, but Apollo and Trucy went out to investigate as they do, and when they came back, the body had been moved, and they found Maki, the defendant, and the murder victim put on a high scaffolding with Maki knocked out. So, given that Mr. Latouche is like twice the size of Maki, and Maki was unconscious at the time, it does stretch credulity a little to say, well, he did it to match the song. um, with this particular game, sometimes I try to change the length of the stream to account for where we are. Like, I don't like to stop in the middle of a really dramatic moment. I'd rather have closure there. So we might run a little longer. We'll see. If it looks like the stream has cooled down and we're at a good break point, then we'll probably stop. Yeah, similar with how we did the coding stream, Cats, is if we get a victory and it's near the end, then I'll switch over to just a chatting session and wrap up. Better to end on a good moment than it is to try to end just on the time. Now, there will be days where I have to end on the time, but shouldn't be today. But only someone as small as him could have gotten out of that room. It's no, we know that's not the case. So At the time that Apollo entered the room and saw the body, we heard the door open and close behind him, but he didn't see it. The assertion is that the detective was right outside the door making a call, but we don't know if she just overlooked it, if she didn't see it. I have done ridiculously long streams before, Cats. I generally avoid it because there's a point of draining after a while, but it's possible. And yes, I will be live tomorrow and Sunday. I believe I have coding streams scheduled for those. Right. The air vent. And he lied. Lied? Maki Tobai can see. Well, he didn't lie. That's part of his stage persona. And he has to keep it up because of his contract. But he has not been on stand and he has not lied about it. Oh, and here he is. I still say it looks like he's wearing a nightgown. Game's moving along just fine there, Limitless. We are having potentially our conversation with the defendant after we have at least broken free of the Shaky assertion that he had to be the killer. It's a very squiggly looking necklace symbol. We don't know if there's any importance to it or if it's just character flair. Maki. Speak of the devil. So the sunglasses were that he is pretending to be blind. As again, the PR team for the singer didn't realize she was blind before they put out the advertisements with kind of like her theme. Uh, Kind of the equivalent would be like those VTuber advertisements where they talk about how the character is, but you never hear their voice or stream behavior. And then you get on the stream and they're completely different than what you might assume based on the ad. The ad for the singer was that she was like a traveling landscape painter, but she doesn't, and she doesn't have that skill, and it would be hard for her to acquire it. Uh, so part of the excuse to make it so that somebody could lead her around on stage and help her get to different places in unfamiliar places uh, is that they said that the pianist was blind and that she is helping lead him around when it's actually the other way around. Yeah, that policeman is part of a static background. Um, I don't know if they refreshed it for this game, but this is the witness holding room, kind of lawyer talks with you room, and it is pretty much static between games. So that guard never moves. It's fun. I do know some folks that will pop into the channel and just not chat. They do it to listen to me read the story and whatnot. So if you don't want to chat, that's okay. If you do want to chat, that's okay too. I will try to pause and chat with folks as they ask questions or just talk. Looks like he's doing okay. I forget, why did we come here? It's not like we can talk to him or anything. Uh, Maki asserts, or at least it seems like Maki doesn't know English. So whenever Maki says anything, it's just like symbols. He is quite stoic, Tass. The guard is quite stoic. Words are overrated. Feelings are what matter, Apollo. Kinda hard to build a court case on feelings. But since we're here anyway, might as well get what I want to say off my chest. You need someone to complain to, I'll listen. I think she's actually worried for me. Audible silence. So what did you think of the trial today? Silence. Glad he doesn't understand English after all. If he did, he would have been scared out of his mind by that trial. Hey, all's well that ends well. Have to be more goal-oriented. If he's innocent, we win. I generally avoid rage games. Though, like I said, I recently picked up a Spot the Difference game. The sort of I'm on observation duty game, so I kind of want to schedule it for next week. I do like games that have that sort of... It's meant to startle you. It's not like a closet monster jump scare kind of thing. It's meant to be, oh, I didn't know that was there. Or, you know, this popped out. Like, that's part of the intent. Especially true when it's not, you have to hide. I don't like it when you have to hide. No, if he's found not guilty, we win. Maki might not understand English, but I bet he gets that better than you do. Trissy is very anime girl in her behavior set. She replaces Maya Fey from the prior games, both in kind of general tone of the character and appearance of the character. Well, thank you. Both of you. Thank you. I appreciate it. One moment, please. I just dropped my beverage. Mitigate some of the disaster. Hello there, Omega. I'm mopping up after my spilled drink. And when I'm not doing that, I am playing the Ace Attorney games here. Gotta lean down. Okay. Not fully cleaned up, but sufficient. Hey there, Naruto. I generally don't spit a drink out when that happens. It may take me a while to recover because I'm more likely to start choking if that happens. Again, for those who are seeing this game for the first time, this is the gimmick of the Apollo Justice character. Is he apparently has a special skill / a magic bracelet that lets him kind of slow motion perceive visual tics that somebody might have when they're saying something or apparently not saying something that would indicate that they might be deceiving you. Glad Lamorar testified that what a great person. She even got Maki off the hook by naming another suspect. So, Lammerer's original testimony, like when she first said it, when she was still claiming she could see, or like she was still acting as if she could, and claimed that she saw something, the first time it implicated Maki. Um, Subsequent times, though, her second wave of testimony actively defended Maki, and her last statements asserted that there was somebody other than Maki in the room. So the shift of behavior is weird. Great, I'm glad you like it, Limitless. If you want to catch up on stuff, I do have pretty much all of my VODs to quite a ways back. Not all of them. I started on Twitch and didn't upload anything to YouTube. So you can catch up on stuff. You can even see some of the transformation of myself in the channel over time. There for a moment, then it's... So you're saying, Naruto, that you've got to leave soon and you won't be back for like a day? This is the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy. This is the second of the trilogy of the older games that has been released on Steam. It was released recently, but it is not a new game. We can see the visual remaster that happened during the of the older one that we saw during the phone era of the game when it was re-released on like Apple. And some of the games are like DS era, so they have like newer graphics to start with. Darien of the Gaviniers, the detective. So the Gaviniers are the rock band of the prosecutor on this case. And Darien is their, I think like their second guitarist. Either he plays melody or he plays bass. I can't recall which it is. No worries then, Naruto. No worries. Thank you for joining us if you can't get back. We're interviewing the defendant, Cats. Otherwise, not much. We're chatting a lot. And thanks for joining us, Limitless. Assuming you don't come back. Maki knows what happened. I mean, if he could follow how the trial went at all. If no one told him there's a new suspect, how would he know? Hey, what is it, Apollo? No, it's nothing. His magic bracelet keeps vibrating. Speedrunning an Apollo, like an Ace Attorney game, wouldn't actually be terribly interesting, since unless there are glitches that people uncovered and it was just a matter of using them, it's a linear experience, like a very linear experience. So most of the time would be taken up just hitting the proceed with conversation as fast as possible. And knowing when to click on the screen and where. So you could essentially have a script next to you to go through it. Welcome back, Limitless. And don't worry about it. I mean, if you got to step away at all, that's okay. Must be imagining it. Imagining what, Apollo? It's just, I couldn't help but feel that, I don't know, Maki, he doesn't understand what we're saying, right? I think this is going to turn out to be another one of the stage persona lies that they've got going. That, Maki can't understand English at all is the same as Lamaror can't understand English at all. That's why I'm hoping that we see another observation duty style game, and I'm going to try one of those Chilla's Art games that is Spot the Difference. I like those, especially if they do have the suddenly there's a guy in the room kind of moments. That would definitely be rough, Naruto. How could he? He's a young Borginian. He doesn't speak English. Yeah, but my bracelet's reacting to him. Maybe it's malfunctioning? Or it's scared because you keep making those I'm so mad faces. Was I that bad? Maki lied about not being able to see. Naruto, this is a soap opera level drama anime courtroom game set in a world where it is pretty much guilty until proven innocent. If you've ever seen the memes of somebody shouting like objection or take that, then this series is where those come from. Um, he didn't know the bracelet is magical. We don't know the origins of the bracelet yet, but in the course of the first couple trials, it's he calls out that the bracelet is reacting, and then he's able to use some sort of special sight. But what if that's not all he lied about? If you're curious about it, there's only one thing to do. You should ask him. It'll take something big to get him, some kind of undeniable evidence. Poppy playtime, if I'm not mistaken, well, I don't know that it's closet stealth. It might just be run from the monster, right? If it's avoid the patrolling monster, those aren't fun. I don't find them fun. But visually it seems interesting, and um, if it's a flee the thing kind of scenario, then that could be interesting. Like, I don't know. It's potentially hard to describe what I do and do not like about horror games, but closet stealth is I hate it so much. It completely spoiled a kind of Cthulhu mythos Sherlock Holmes crossover game for us. But we'll be back, Maki. Okay, so there's something that we're going to have to find and present to him to kind of force his hand. So, Maki, you can see, right? Maki can see, and Lamarar can't. The whole world's gone topsy-turvy. Perhaps upside-downy. Sorry, Apollo, I don't think we're going to get any information out of Maki. Which makes sense. Yeah, I guess it does. The movement in this game, if you're not familiar, is like the almost lost train of thought. The movement in this game, how I choose to move, and then I select a destination that is accessible from that area, is akin to old school adventure games like the very early ones, where doing stuff like go through the door or leave through this side of the screen would take you to another particular place. Um, you essentially would have this big web of locations where from here I can get to there, I can get to there. This works the same way. You can only get to the detention center from the law office. I have watched Gravity Falls, Cats. It's one of the animation series that I really like. It's from an era of people complain about the common like animation style, like character art style from that era, but I don't really care about that. I like the fact that they had solid character arcs and underlying story to it. And they didn't drop the ball on them. There are a lot of series that get cut off and end up dropping the ball. For example, Star versus the Forces of Evil had a tonal change as it went along. I didn't mind that. Apparently some of the fans really hated that. I didn't mind that. What I minded was it looks like their narrative got cut off, probably by a you have one more season or we won't renew you kind of thing. So the ending isn't terribly satisfying. It's another good one recently. You know, Steven Universe is solid. I hate the early episodes of Steven Universe, but the later stuff was very entertaining. The Owl House was amazing. The episode when Seuss gets a virtual girlfriend is derived from dating games. And dating games are very much a common thing out of Japan and has thus been emulated all over. And they follow a similar pattern. Effectively, most dating games are visual novels and follow the same rules. Some of those rules I don't like. They're anachronistic. But, yeah. Is your cat interfering with your ability to watch the screen? Sky and Ember will do that to me. Every now and then I'll be talking and you'll see me freeze when I'm mentioning the cats because they get in front of the camera. The controls in those kind of games are usually like the person asks you a question and you pick the response. Some of them allow you to move around, but often it's just a linear narrative, and the choices that you make determine which branch of the narrative you might go down. I'm not fond of visual novels that operate entirely on that principle. They can be okay, but the idea of how they usually work, that's save at every single choice so that you can reload to each choice and see what the differences are. If you're going to make that a core mechanic, then you should have a built-in way to handle it. Raging Loop had a good mechanic for that. The art of the visual novel wasn't great. And that's the other thing that, frankly, kills a visual novel, is the visuals need to be good and varied. Okay, so we can now return to the Colosseum. From the outside, the Gaviniers' Guilty as Charged tour. All of their song names, their costume, some of their costuming, and their tour names are all very legally related. No worries if you need to go, Naruto. What a great day. It's perfect weather for sleuthing. The weather matters for an investigation? Yeah, the weather matters for an investigation, Apollo. It kind of does. What, you mean it's going to be hard to investigate a crime scene if it's pouring rain and dark? Who'd have thought? I just have a cat fountain. They prefer to drink out of a fountain, and I just try to find ones that are easy to clean and very functional, which is remarkably difficult. There are a lot of terrible cat fountains out there. Don't some days just feel like magic days or defense days? Sure, let's get started, shall we? Show us your stuff, Apollo. What stuff? Your voice training. This is the perfect place for it. When Apollo wakes up in the morning, he essentially shouts things like objection and whatnot into the mirror to kind of rev himself up. He calls his vocal cords the cords of steel. Nope, I don't put out like water dishes. I do have a couple of elevated dishes that I use for the cat food. I think that's a pretty common thing, Naruto. At least I have encountered many cats that like to drink from a leaky faucet, or even they want you to turn on the faucet so they can drink from it. That kind of cat will sometimes like a cat fountain as well. They like that like flowing water, like actively falling water. Though I've also encountered cats that just like to play in that. Like I saw one that would just drink from the pool of water at the bottom, but they would do so by putting their head under the stream of water. So they would always come away from it soaked. I did enough at home, thanks. There's no need to be shy. Keep that up and you'll never make it on the big stage. I'm happy in the courtroom, thank you. I am a lawyer. And you're in luck because it's lawyer weather today. Don't you just want to face the blue sky and shout objection? Look, the weather has nothing to do with lawyers. Let's get going already. All right, we are going to get started with this in just a moment. Going to take the first break of the evening here. I'll be right back. Getting settled back in. And we're back. Mason has moved off here. All right. Look, a massive sign for the Guilty as Charged tour. A giant prosecutor Gavin stares out over the arena. Maybe I can take it to the maybe I can take it to the office when they're done with it. Where would you put it? You couldn't even get that thing through the front door. Then I'll put it outside. I bet it'd be good for business. Just as long as no one comes expecting us to prosecute. Well, if anyone comes looking for a concert, leave it to me. Is this part of some twisted plan of hers to make her singing debut, I wonder? Is that not coming through? Okay, yeah. We're back. We're back. I try to take a break at least hourly. Lets me, get up, move around, that kind of thing. Top up the beverage. Sunshine Coliseum sure is living up to its name today. It's huge. And Mr. Gavin got to play on that enormous stage. I'm so jealous. Someday I'll fight my first battle on this stage. Battle? Well, yeah, it's a coliseum, isn't it? It would make a lot of concerts more interesting. Make Battle of the Bands literal, Part of your scoring in it is how well you manage to do the fight choreography while playing your particular song. You could get almost like a Friday Night Funkin' kind of thing going. It does have a bit of a shrine vibe. There's it's I get some vibes of like the Sydney Auditorium. The front of it gives me some kind of cross between almost like Parthenon and some of the kind of pagoda style buildings. All right, Naruto, have a good evening. Until you get back, assuming you get back, whichever. They don't do gladiatorial contests at these places anymore. Anymore. They don't do gladiatorial contests at these places anymore. Now, if he had been looking at like a Roman Colosseum or something, some ancient structure, and said that, okay, that's perfectly normal, but this is a modern building. This had to be built in like what, the last 50 years or something. Maybe a little before that, but we're definitely talking like post 1900s kind of thing. When did they last have a death sport in this Colosseum? That's going to be the next trilogy after the great the great detective ones. Um, during during the trial, we'll actually have like battle sequences instead of the crossed swords visuals that we got in the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We'll actually get crossed swords. It will be amazing. See my volume buttons here. Yes, there we go. Really? I had no idea. And hello there. I don't know how to pronounce anything after the second letter, the third letter, or starting with the third letter. So this game is the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy. I get both. I can. My eyes can cover both the anime and the edgy vibe because I have the big shiny watery eyes, and then I also have black sclera. So yeah, it's like a visual novel. Yeah, it's a very interactive visual novel. So we click on things, we search for evidence, that kind of stuff, and we use those items. So it's a bit of a combo between a visual novel and a old adventure game. Your King's Quest template games. No idea. I wonder why they stopped. Wonder why they stopped having death games at their concert halls. Sometimes I worry about her. Fun thing about Trucy, underneath the cape that she's wearing, she has a backpack mounted, fully automated um, combo wooden robot slash ventriloquist dummy. Like it can pop out and she can control it. Yeah, they have an active Zeppelin. That would be a blimp, wouldn't it? I thought there was a fundamental difference between a blimp and a Zeppelin, but I can't. I don't recall if there is or what it would be. I know usually the Zeppelins were the like long tubey ones, as opposed to kind of the almost kind of football shaped, like smaller football looking ones, like that one. But I could be wrong. Look, a blimp. Those balloons next to it have sponsor ads on them. Let's see. Big sale, all shirts 50% off. It's an ad for the department store next door. I don't see any of the advertisements on the balloons next to them. All of them have Gavineers and the tour name. So I use the eyes for Be Right Back and the stream end because those are the power down eyes. Um, the heart I use to emphasize that it's becoming active because if you watch, the heart darkens down if during shutdown. Blue Badger. Yep. If you noticed, the tail is a big old like high voltage charging cord. It's that creature there. That's the police mascot, the Blue Badger. Blue Badger has been a running gag since the early games. One of the police chiefs out of nowhere decided that the department needed a mascot. And he made this like almost like this weird blue kind of jester costume thing. It has three prongs off of its head with little bells on. Uh, it's kind of like it's got kind of Teletubby vibes. Hello there, clown. Welcome, welcome. But then they called it the Blue Badger, and I don't know why any of that, but it has subsequently made appearances in almost every game after that. Eh, it's life size. Haven't you seen them around town, patrolling the streets? So we've seen blue badgers in the concert hall, in the like dress room for the Governors. We've seen blue badgers, like evil twin blue badgers, on gangsters t-shirts. We've seen them on merchandise in the game constantly. Now even Law and Order has a mascot. I'd run from that thing even if I wasn't a criminal. Why does its head wobble like that when it walks? It's freaky. I don't think you're showing true blue badger spirit, Apollo. So you can see it right here at the bottom. That is the blue badger. I do have a mascot. Let's see. Well, it only shows up from donation events right now. But you can see the old Catbot in some of my old shorts and videos, and the Catbot does make an appearance in the upper right corner during donation events. Anything else here? Little kid either playing with or fleeing a little Shiba. It's hard to tell. It kind of looks like the kid is fleeing a Shiba because if you look at the positioning, the back of the kid's foot is right against the steps and their other foot is elevated. That kid's about to face plant on those cobblestones. Their injury is imminent. All right, we should be able to move from here. Real quick check. Oh. Okay, there's no alternate field of view. Thanks. That's 2 of my 5 cats for those that haven't seen the channel before. Let's see how many others we can spot. We can currently see 4 out of 5 cats. Yeah. So we have Sky up in the cat tree. We have Ember across from my keyboard. And then we have Sherbet and Sammy on the bed. I still need to swap out camera 6 for sure, and probably a couple of others. Mason usually doesn't do that. At least during streams, Mason hasn't come over. But what Mason will do is he will come over and he will paw at my legs for a little bit. He'll do the little needy clawy thing, and then if I start petting him enough, he will crawl up and kind of drape himself up against my shoulder, and he wants to have his back stroked while that's happening. 10 cats would definitely be difficult. 5 is a handful. Both materials expenditure, like cat litter, that kind of thing, and food, but also paying enough attention to each of them. I have had as many as 7 cats, and that starts to get busy. The backstage hallway. We can see 2 more blue badgers here. You have the blue badger doing traffic direction right here. And then we have a blue badger like stuffy or statue right here. Ah, Mr. Attorney, this is the blind singer. Right, just a moment. Gonna have to translate that. I have a bookmark for Deep L for that purpose. It's always an interesting thing when you encounter somebody who their life experience with English makes your life experience with English, that your use of English is the one with an accent. Very frequently, when you grow up with a particular speech pattern, you view it as you don't have an accent. It's other people that have an accent with that. That's always neat. It's always interesting. Things get pretty scattered as chat is rolling there, cats. It really does. The cats are very important there. The cats are very important. This. I'm gonna try something here. One moment. Guarantee I'll do this every time. Ah, okay. So your screen handle is the Russian equivalent of, I think, Russian equivalent of mafioso? Mr. Attorney, Lamaror. I have no idea how to pronounce that last little bit of her name. Roir. That is at least 3 syllables grafted together with kind of conflicting joins in the sound. So it feels like doesn't even feel like it would be a Japanese thing. It feels like you would pronounce it differently than it looks if you were to try to transliterate it to English. I've never thought that I sound English, like British. I never thought that. I know I speak more formally than people are used to. Nothing you need to apologize for. You were merely defending Maki. Are you okay? Alone, I mean? They're asking if she's okay alone, because normally she would have Maki to lead her around because she is blind. And because her blindness is concealed from the public, she would not likely have like a cane to assist her. Humans are blessed with 5 senses. Even robbed of one, we get by. Though it does make being a witness rather difficult. Speaking of seeing, you knew who we were before we spotted you just now. And we weren't even talking. I heard your footsteps several times the day before. Oh. Must have great ears. Ears that heard the crime taking place. It's one of the things people will say, like, the other senses, like, become enhanced. But more accurately, it's that you have to focus on your other senses more. You're still just as good at hearing, like, mechanically as you were. It's that that is something that you would have to pay more attention to. You can't rely on your eyes as much. So suddenly the senses that were in distant second place at best to your sight become important to you. So you pay attention to the signals that you were already getting. Yeah, this is a very visual novel style presentation. You have backdrops for different areas, and then you'll have character art, like sprites slash paper dolls that will appear. Even paper dolls, I can't. Paper doll is what you'd call like an inventory model, but you have a big character portrait like this appears. Or so she claimed yesterday. But how? It was quite a statement you made today in court about hearing Darian Crescent's voice at the scene of the crime. Darian Crescent. I'm trying to think. So we have romaine lettuce. So we have romaine lettuce. Darian Crescent feels like it's got to be another reference. Like the Gavineers, it's Clavier Gavin. It is the guy's name. So Clavier is dependent on which language you're looking at it, a musical reference. It's like keyboard in one, and then there was another variation like French, and then I think German had two different variations on what that could be. But Darian Crescent. I don't know. I did not know his name, but I never forget a voice. Like, this emphasis here is that she recognizes people primarily by the sounds of their movement in their voices. Lemuror, is something the matter? That voice just now. It was him. I'm sure of it. Yeah, when he's in side profile, you can see it better. His hair extends at least this far off the screen. So, like, half of his hair is visible right now as far as length. It would go out to at least, like, here. Let's see. Favorite VTubers. Now, I respect Iron Mouse. I don't really watch Iron Mouse, but I really respect Iron Mouse. Iron Mouse's life story is inspirational. And it's also a good template for people getting into streaming. Not the whole, medical story and whatnot. I mean the timeline. As far as streamers I like, I don't watch. Like, I don't spend a lot of time watching other VTubers, primarily because there are other things I want to do, and but I still try to look at them to see how other people behave and how other people stream. That said, Orochrome Testing. How about now? Well, that was a spectacular one. uh oh, I I had to try several things. That was uncommon. I had to restart the microphone software, and then restart the rest of the stuff. That was weird. Normally, when that happens, it's because I accidentally bumped the power switch on the microphone that is positioned in a terribly inconvenient spot. Testing. Okay, let's see if it stays broken. Huh. Okay, okay. It will totally work again. It will definitely work again. So we're gonna pause trying to play the game for just a little bit here to see if my microphone flakes out again, because it has full broken twice. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully not. If we do have any worse issues, or if it keeps happening, we might need to. Um, I have concerns about my microphone, but it might just be some software hiccups with the rest of it. We'll see. We'll see. So let's chat for a little bit and make sure that it keeps working. Welcome back, Naruto. We are pausing the game for just a little bit so that we can make sure that the microphone doesn't fail again. hope I don't have to get a new one. Yeah, we've got 4 going on right now. Ember is currently toasting her side. We'll see if she flipped. If she'll flip a little later. We have Sky up in the cat tree, and then we have Sherbet and Sammy on the bed. Mason. So, in all probability, Mason is up and right from Sammy and Sherbet. He'll lay kind of on the bed where, like, up against a pillow. I've kind of wanted to eventually reposition that camera so it can see more of the bed, because then we might be able to get a triple more often. Yeah, the microphone was not working, so hopefully it will be this time. I have restarted 3 programs and reloaded the microphone itself, so we'll see. We'll see. One of these days, I want to see if we can get all 5 in one spot. That's, you know, that's your SSR pull, you know? Hopefully it was just a little hiccup there, Naruto. If you're curious, that mixing software was Voicemeeter Potato. Here, I'll show you. Hey, Potato. Potato. Voicemeeter, I think Banana is the free version. You don't have as many inputs there. But Potato is the paid version. It's not really expensive. That gives you more input options. And I use those because it allows me to separate out the audio more easily. So, for example, the music that you are hearing comes in through one channel. I have considered running it through a different one, but that's trickier. Well, not really, but more of a hassle. So I could run that through one. Then the game sound is another one. The microphone comes through another. And if I'm on, say, like TeamSpeak or well, you guys probably don't know what TeamSpeak is. If I'm on, say, Discord, that goes through a different one. So if in, say, a video, I want to mute a particular thing, I don't have to mute all the things. And hey there, Noba. This is the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney Chronicles. It is game 1 in the second trilogy that was recently released on Steam. So this is chronologically after the first, the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Chronicles. I believe it starts 8 years after the events of the first trilogy. So circling back around to the question that was asked just before the microphone exploded. So my favorite VTubers, as far as big name recognizable VTubers, I like, I mentioned Oro Crony. Her sort of almost deadpan chaos I enjoy. I do. Rin Penrose is at the other end of the spectrum. I actually... Rin Penrose is kind of... That kind of chaos I find amusing. The fact that they are able to turn a PowerPoint presentation into such a manic situation is amusing to me. Um, but I can't watch a lot of Rin Penrose because I have a lower tolerance for that level of kind of chaos and energy. I would love to get that to happen. Ember is actually frequently right next to the microphone when she comes up and wants to get attention. But sadly, the sound filtering software that I use to make it so that you guys can't hear any other noises that might be going on in the factory also will cull the sound of a cat purring or making other noises because it doesn't recognize it as speech. Um, though I have toyed with the idea of having a special microphone that I would turn on just for that purpose. Oh, as far as Gravity Falls, I think the ending of Gravity Falls was solid. It was a Gravity Falls is the escalation of that series is pretty steady. Like it keeps flowing, which I enjoyed. The one that I felt was had a weird cutoff in it is called Star versus the Forces of Evil. I would actually love some additional soundproofing, but the voice control on the microphone, the idea of cleaning up any sort of audio, like you can't hear me like breathing, you know. You can't hear me like breathing loudly into the microphone or anything. It's really useful. Bill Cipher is an interesting character. I actually like the idea that we don't get a lot of story around Bill Cipher. Uh, that's a good thing to be on purpose. The thing that they leverage with Bill Cipher is that he is unknown and alien. The whole concept that he comes from a two-dimensional dimension is another factor. It's a completely foreign point of view, and he is an unknown creature. So if you explain that kind of creature, it can sometimes make them lesser. That's right, Nova. It's part of his the compelling aspect of him is that he is an out of place entity. So the other stuff in you have like cryptids at best in some of the other ones. You know, rogue AIs, vampires, those kind of things. More grounded entities. But Bill Cipher is out of nowhere. He is something kind of eldritch. Inside job. It doesn't ring a bell. I don't know for sure that I haven't, but it doesn't ring a bell. Microphone seems to be working, so what we'll do is we'll resume tentatively. Definitely not. I haven't actually watched much Netflix lately. There are some things that I wouldn't mind watching, but just like with Crunchyroll, it's I don't spend enough time watching shows to feel like I'm justifying the price of entry. Like even the monthly fee feels like it's like, oh man. At least with Audible, I'm stacking up credits, so if I want to listen to a bunch of audiobooks, I could like scoop them up. Um, I like horror movies, but I like psychological horror movies. I don't like slasher movies as much. I can watch them as a like in that I find them comedic. Like gory slasher movies are funny because it's so over the top. It's exaggerated to a silly extent. Hmm. Might have to look it up, assuming I remember. But what's one of my favorite horror movies that is relatively recent is The Color Out of Space. It is an adaptation of an H.P. Lovecraft story, uh, and it does it better. That's one of the things that almost universally falls flat that they usually mess up with adaptations of Lovecraft stories is they try to turn them into generic monster movies, and they're not generic monster movies. Fall. Now, I don't think I've watched Fall. I played a game called The Fall. I think it was called The Fall. That was really good. There is one of them. It's hard to describe it without spoilers, but it is a unreliable narrator story paired with um like an identity story. There, I've actually played two games with the same theme as that, where the the truth about what the player character is kind of shrouded in mystery and is very different than what you'd think it is towards the end. Mm. No, that one doesn't ring a bell, but like I said, I don't pick up a lot of horror movies because I like the ones where it is not an overt monster. Uh, Tass is a big fan of them, and it has been kind of infectious. There are particular Godzilla movies that I am really liking lately. Shin Godzilla and Godzilla minus one were, at least in my mind, the best Godzilla movies I have seen. They are past the area where I have a hard time um, seeing past the technological aesthetic of the time, like uh, rubber costumes over tiny model sets are hard for me to get into. Um, and some of the more modern adaptations that started around like 90s to 2000s, I feel usually missed the point. But Shin Godzilla and Godzilla minus one, I loved. Yeah. Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse rings a bell, but not Knights of the Apocalypse. Oh, let's see. Was a So the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Um, I reference Discworld a lot, and so the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse is a largely, like, at least in the public sphere, a biblical concept. You have death, famine, war, and pestilence. Um, in Discworld, you do have the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. It is the Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse. A If I had to guess, it was meant to be a portmanteau of apocryphal and apocalypse. Uh, but it gets this vibe of kind of like a group of old friends getting back together, like the band getting back together when they show up, because we've by that point we've been introduced to death, and he's sort of like he's still a kind of immortal cosmic being that embodies a concept. Like he is quite literally death, the end of all things. So he represents entropy. uh, but he kind of gets mentally infected or very influenced by the lives of mortals. He likes cats, and his horse is named Binky. Uh, and when war, famine, and pestilence show up, they're guys that he knows more or less. So, if any of you like to read stories, I would definitely suggest Discworld. It is safe to skip, I think, the first three. They're the world that is Discworld isn't as well defined by that point, but it's really good. Some of the movie adaptations of Discworld, there are a couple that are kind of okay, but they're generally bad. Skip those. Though I have heard that the daughter of Terry Pratchett, the author who has passed on, but his daughter was working with Netflix on a series based on the Nightwatch books of Discworld, the Nightwatch storyline. And that is an excellent storyline, though I don't know if they finished it or how it's going. Um, when I need caffeine, energy drink. Um, Used to be that Mountain Dew was my beverage of choice. And frankly, if you look at the caffeine content, if you're just looking for a hit of caffeine, uh, Mountain Dew is the same as an energy drink, as about the same amount per bottle. Uh, it's a bit basic, but I like the white monster flavor. The series is called Discworld Nova, and it is by an author named Terry Pratchett, like Pratchett, I think. The first T might not be there, but if you look up Discworld, you'll find them. Said the first few not as strong, um, but once you get past the first few where they're introducing the world and the concepts, that was before the author really got running with the ideas. And you'll see in later books that some of those concepts get kind of like hand waved away. um, but the overall vibe of it still carries through. Mountain Dew gets bullied as it's a generic soda, let's put it that way, and the the marketing direction that they went with it is very much like extreme culture kind of thing. It's there's high voltage and whatnot. They're trying to be cool. They're trying to appeal to the youth. But it is like most sodas. It is high sugar, lots of high fructose corn syrup. Uh, I have tried the cane sugar variety of Mountain Dew, the one that comes in glass bottles because nostalgia. Uh, but it's actually very tasty comparatively. Still same kind of similar sugar content, but at least it's not corn syrup. Uh, the 0 calorie stuff is okay, but like I'm not the type that is really thrown off by the presence of something like sucralose or aspartame. But most diet sodas and 0 calorie sodas have a definite kind of flavor profile, let's say. Uh, it's not awkward there, cats. If you want to go ahead, I No, I wouldn't require it or like independently encourage it, but feel free. Okay, so it looks like the microphone isn't imploding anymore. So let's continue. As I said in court, I was on my way backstage from the stage. That's when I heard his voice. I'm guessing Darian and Mr. Latouche were talking about something. The next moment, I heard those gunshots. Is Knights of the Apocalypse like a show there, Noba? That like the title of a show? Why didn't you call security? To be honest, though the noise was quite frightening, I never imagined the gunshots might be real. I was in quite a hurry myself. I left the scene at once. So it really was Darian's voice that she heard. Yeah, at least she certainly thinks it was. I met Maki before my debut as Lammeror. I was singing in a restaurant in Borginia. Hmm. No, but like I haven't seen it and couldn't tell you if it is. But it reminds me of um like 80s, 90s era, probably more 90s era, I think. Um, early anime pulled over for US syndication. Like the very early editions of like Sailor Moon and Ronin Warriors. Um or maybe some of the like the American adaptations of Super Sentai shows like like what Power Rangers was turned into kind of thing. Knights of the Apocalypse just makes me think of that. Not like I don't know what's in it, but that's what springs to mind. Wildly butchered, Americanized Super Sentai. He was playing the piano? Yes. He was very kind to me when he learned I could not see. Well, if there's something you'd like me to look at, like a suggestion of, say, a game to play in the future, or you just want to chat, or if there's a show that you want to put a link to or something like that, there is a link to a link tree which links to my Discord server. There's a process for getting you access to the rest of the boards, but that's the way to go if you want to say, hey, look at this game or something like that, because I am very prone to forgetting if not. That when you started playing opposites. Again, she is blind, he is not. He leads her around because she sometimes needs help getting to like the stage or something like that. The public persona that they present is that he is blind, she is not, and she leads him around. That would do it, Naruto. I actually have as part of the setup here, the phone that I use to capture the motion here. It's the program that's running on it. VTube Studio is a battery hog, and if I don't if I don't have it plugged in for the entirety of stream, it will actually run out of battery charge before the end of the stream. Uh, if you can't find the link to the Discord server in the to the link tree that has a link to the Discord server in the description because you're looking at the short form, then what you can do is you can go to the channel page, and the link that the channel page has, like one of the primary links off of the channel, is that link tree, and that should get you to the Discord server. Does he have a Saitama profile picture? Oh, he does, doesn't he? I like One Punch Man. That is one of the manga that I've been reading. Uh the One Punch Man not anime actually does a good job of transferring it over. With Maki pretending he couldn't see. Ah, no, it wasn't then. That began after our major debut. After I became known as the landscape painter in sound. I like One Punch Man because simultaneously it has the sort of visual comedy. Well, I'm sorry, it has the disparity in style. Saitama is drawn in a very casual cartoon style, while everybody else is drawn in very generic shonen anime style. Uh, unless Saitama is being very serious, in which case he's drawn in that shonen anime, fighting anime style. Uh, but additionally, they do a very good job of a person that wants to be the superhero that they have read about in manga and seen on TV, but that he's actually too strong to be that way. Uh, it gives the joke character a very underlying kind of drive and sad arc to it, where you can see how excited he gets with the prospect of facing an enemy that is fantastically powerful, but finding out that he still can't fight them as an equal. It still can't be an actual clash of hero and villain, because as soon as he gets serious, he wins almost instantly. Um, but the other thing is that he starts pretty much invincible. Saitama has never been shown to have any real weakness, or that he can't kind of one shot somebody, the one punch concept, if he goes all out. All of the like, I get stronger in that kind of arc is being handled by Genos, the cyborg sidekick. He has the more traditional fighting anime kung fu movie progression arc as he sacrifices more and more of like his more human aspect to become a greater and greater tool of destruction. He follows the traditional arc. Saitama has almost the opposite, is that he's already at the pinnacle and it bores him. Like he's sad about it. It must have been tough for Maki, pretending he couldn't see and all the while acting as your eyes. We held hands always. He would write with his finger on my palm to signal to me things I should know. I recall, I don't know if that's something that's still generally in use, but that was a method of it was kind of like a sign language alternative before that kind of thing was codified. Is the whole kind of write on their palm kind of thing. Is a smart, gentle boy. I think I see what she's getting at. Maki would never harm a soul. About Mr. Latouche. I'm still happy that Eventually, I caught on to the pun in his name, or the joke in his name, Romain Latouche. Ah, yes, he was an Interpol agent, I hear. So you had no idea? That's the joke, Naruto. Is Mr. Lettuce. His name is a play on romaine lettuce. Potentially Noba, though there's been no sign of that in the manga. It's there are times when he is completely oblivious and has been struck a blow that will like take out the neighborhood around him, and it doesn't touch him. Like he's drilled into the ground out of nowhere and he just hops out. So, at least as far as I have read, the reaching the end of the I don't know, like the Guild of Monsters or what it is, whatever it's called, arc. Uh, he has still never been slowed down. Of course not. No one did. I guess that's what it means to be undercover. But somebody was after him. He was an undercover spy. I had no idea. Yeah, because he's good at his job. Is the oh yeah, he's an undercover spy. Then he's not. No, but I watched a couple of episodes. Like, I don't think I finished a season of Seven Deadly Sins. It was okay. It was okay. Catch you later, Naruto. Get that phone charged. I don't think you've missed anything in particular, cats. We have still just reached the first actual area of the investigation here. It's mostly been a chatting stream this time, and that's okay. Oh, okay. Hmm. There's a lot of anime that, given. So, the reason I don't get through a lot of anime is that there are other things that I want to do with the time. Some of it is I've got some streaming stuff to do. Like, I'm way behind on my short videos. I'm way behind on doing that. Hopefully, I will catch up soon. But often I have like a game that I want to play with my downtime or something along those lines. Like right now, Dragon's Dogma, when I'm not doing something like vegging out with a YouTube video or um, playing Helldivers, it's Dragon's Dogma 2 nonstop. And like I mentioned, it's not like I'm doing anything like, oh, I'm following the plot closely kind of thing. It's I am systematically wandering the countryside, blowing stuff up and exploring. That's it. I advance the plot because sometimes I can't easily get places without doing it. It it's not uncommon. You know, this isn't an Amelie stream, but it is definitely the scuff happens frequently enough. I like watching Amelie's shorts. I don't know that I could watch her streams. She is at least an inoffensive kind of chaos to me. They had to know who he really was. Why did he pose as my manager? I do not understand. You have no idea? I can only assume that he was investigating me, but why? Um, if they ever get the new bots finished, I wouldn't mind dusting off League of Legends co-op versus AI again. Uh, they've been apparently for a couple of years now working on some much more sophisticated AI players, and that could be cool. I don't like playing against other people because of the really nasty toxicity and the kind of more intense and more competitive nature of ranked team play. Like that's not my thing. I do watch a league streamer, Zwag Zareth. I do like watching him. He is apparently one of the top Zareth players in the world. Um, but he plays a lot of other stuff. He does a lot of videos that are like meme builds and similar. He has been doing a Teemo only ranked climb where unless he gets prevented from selecting Teemo top, he plays Teemo top, and Teemo is my favorite League of Legends character. Right up there with Vagar. I like those two. They are cute and their concepts are amusing from a gameplay and a like lower visual perspective. Hey there, Ethan. That would be too much of a personal question there, Cats. Why don't I continue Genshin Impact? I stopped playing Genshin because uh, the the monetization model was getting too perceptive to me. I was starting to see too much of a the subtle way in which they encourage you to spend money was becoming too apparent to me, and I have set out I have made it a personal commitment to avoid a game that does that too much to me. I played a lot of Warframe in the past, a whole lot of Warframe, like a really absurd amount of Warframe, and they have a very strong FOMO element that Genshin does as well. Now, I will say, Genshin has a lot of gameplay to it, and you don't have to spend money, but they really, really encourage you to. Like it's present. It's the carrot is dangled very effectively. But visuals and gameplay wise, I think it's good. Like it's quality. And it does have some of the things that I really like about that kind of game. Really good open world exploration. Can only assume that he was investigating me, but why? What makes you think that? Perhaps it is not so, but I cannot deny the possibility. Because of my condition, as as my present is veiled in darkness, so too is my past clouded from memory. Lamorar has amnesia prior to her being a singer in like a cafe. Like the entire past of her life, she is apparently forgotten. So one possibility here is that Latouche is part of an investigation that is aware of her past. Now, whether she is like lying and concealing her that she knows about her past, maybe she is trying to you're sort of gain a new identity and flee from your past, or if this is she has legitimately lost her memory, but the her pursuers don't care or don't believe that, or if it's something else entirely. But my get the reason that I make that guess is that it feels sufficiently over the top and crazy for an Ace Attorney plotline. Clouded, right. Tell me of the darkness. My hair is this way because it's an artificial fiber. So it is just naturally this way. It's kind of like a fiber optic. That's why it's blue on the ends. Someday I would like an upgrade that would let me change that color, you know, so that I could shift the blues to the purples and yellows and whatnot. That would be neat. It would make the eye change a little more apparent. Though, if we want to stick with lore, then if the eyes go purple, then the tubes that are visible should go purple as well. You know, domestic bird posterior Naruto. Ha 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 ha. So I don't know if you heard cats, but the lore is rooted in concepts that were kind of vaguely defined and built upon as I played a game called Noida. And you can see that in some of my past shorts. I actually had one that did super well, um, where you could see that game being played. But the further along you go in the Noida streams, the more that you'll see the precursors of the story. See, the darkness that I fear is not the darkness that I see whenever I open my eyes. The real darkness lies in my heart. In your heart? I have no memory of the time before I became Lammeror. I awoke from darkness into darkness, you might say. I was singing in a restaurant those days. What was it that she said about not being able to remember the light? I do not know my past. Perhaps I committed some terrible crime in my past. Everything before becoming Lammeror is lost to me. But I don't think you. I can think of no other explanation. Let's see. I would look up one of my playlists is a game called I'm on Observation Duty. Take a look at those. Those are very fun. Like I really enjoy those games, and if you want to see more of me getting jump scared now and again, there's some good ones in that. Why else would an agent of Interpol approach me? Do you think your past might be related to this case? No way. That seems really unlikely to me. I mean, you're such a sweet person, Lammeror. I thank you. Maki 2 tells me this often when I fear who I might have been. That's So this is one of the things that's been here since the beginning of this case. This is an earpiece and microphone that is on the floor next to the dressing rooms. Lammeror is where the murder took place, and the Gavineers' dressing room, um, which I don't know how that's related, but since we can go there, it's definitely involved. The name is I'm on observation duty. Like it's like a sentence. No, I am on observation duty. It is a camera based spot the difference. So people often call out that it's similar to Five Nights at Freddy's, but the core gameplay element is very different. Like what you're setting out to do and how you do it are different things. And that difference is what really makes it for me. I enjoy those because I don't like Five Nights at Freddy's. It is the worst kind of it is closet stealth. Hey there, Jose. Whereas observation duty is not. Clicky that. That's been lying there since the day before yesterday. It's small. Maybe no one's noticed it. One of the things they do is they make anything that is supposed to be clicked on. Usually it's bigger than it actually is. So, like that earpiece is not as big as they're showing it because that earpiece is about the size of a doorknob. So, yeah, it wouldn't be, it would not be that big. That is an around the ear earpiece and microphone that, as it stands, like as it's shown, would be the size of a full cup over ear earphone and microphone, like your classic gaming headset with built-in microphone sort of thing. I kind of want to pick it up. It'd make a cool souvenir, don't you think? It does stick out in my mind for some reason. Enter it into evidence. It is important. You keep calling it out. It's like an instrument case, a big instrument case. Great magic trick you can do with one of these. What kind? The miraculous beautiful girl escapes the case illusion. So it's the girl who's miraculous, but not the escape. So picky. Um, that sounded like an Illinois farmer's wife statement. The miraculous girl escapes the case, and they riff on this as the joke. The miraculous girl escapes the case trick. Is the trick miraculous or is the girl miraculous? Sentence works both ways. Hey there, Ghost. I say Illinois farmer's wife because that's kind of the classic example. Is the farmer from Illinois or is the wife from Illinois? Wordplay. So picky. Another classic joke, which they already referenced in the this game. I don't know if it's a reference to a joke outside of the games. Is ladder versus step ladder. Somebody will say, "Hey, that look, there's a ladder in the corner," and one of the others will reply, "I think that's a step ladder." There'll be a little bit of banter afterwards, but that's kind of the joke. Indeed, a nugget, and it appears that the profile picture is one of the standard McDonald's chicken nugget forms. I recently saw a plush toy that was shaped and colored to look like to be reminiscent of a dinosaur shaped chicken nugget, which is shaped to be reminiscent of a popular culture portrayal of a dinosaur. I feel like once you reach that point, your plush toy is getting too meta. Hey, speaking of dinosaur nugget, I'm thirsty, Apollo. Want something to drink? How about this one? A Steel Samurai soda. Steel Samurai is a reference to a television program that is introduced in the first Phoenix Wright games. It's kind of a it's a Super Sentai like program. It's, you know, you have dudes in costumes with over dramatic stories in on TV kind of thing. Uh, Steel Samurai is the favorite television program of the sidekick character in a lot of the Ace Attorney games, the Phoenix Wright games. And I think she makes an appearance in this trilogy at some point based on the splash art. She was really into it, and she forces Phoenix to watch it with her, and he seems to at least get tangentially into it. He still has in his hospital room after he got hit by a car in this series. You could see Steel Samurai stuff, including DVDs, piled up in there, which may have been Mia forcing them on him. But his cell phone's ringtone is the Steel Samurai theme. Nugget, I do have. I play on Steam. That's where all of my games are, except for the ones that are only available on the Epic Game Store, whether at the time that I want to play them or period. Otherwise, I use Steam. I try to call these out because sometimes the reference is opaque otherwise. Like, I will call something out and or I like the dialogue will include it, but the joke or the concept is not there unless you've heard it before. Do you mean stream through Steam? Like, I can use that, but three streams at once is currently my limit. So until bandwidth improves, I can't add another one without dropping one. Why don't I stream on Thursdays? Mondays and Thursdays are my current downtime days. Uh, when I'm not way behind on my work and kind of slacking on it, I also use those to catch up on video work. Now in real steel flavor. I know what iron tastes like. I don't know what um iron is almost like a primal flavor as far as I know. Like things taste like iron. Kind of like things taste like chicken. But I don't know. Does steel taste like iron? Did I? Oh, okay. Uh I haven't done that before. For the most part, I have plenty of games in my library that I someday hope to play on stream. I definitely picked up a whole bunch of less expensive ones for Halloween last year that I wanted to get through, but we totally didn't get through them. Here, my treat. Hey, this isn't enough change. The machines outside are cheaper. This one is highway robbery. I have seen people play Pizza Tower uh, a long time ago. I used to play platformer games and was decent at them, largely because a majority of games were often platformer games. Like if you reached into a box of games that were available at the time, um, you were probably gonna get a platformer game. So things like, you know, Super Mario Brothers, Mega Man. Um, the original Ducktales game was good, though it was crazy short. Ninja Gaiden, lots of stuff like that. And hey there, Fraggy. Indeed, August. That is actually a camera, like a live feed. Let's see. How many? Okay, we still have four. I still think Mason is probably up and right from Sherbet and Sammy there. Let's actually put Ember on camera. We've had I do prefer to have as many cats visible as possible, but I find it's sometimes it's good to rotate. And Ember is very photogenic. She's a cutie and she's a sweetheart. Ember is, of my cats, she is the most vocal. Sky is second, though Sky is usually vocal when he actively wants my attention, and usually it's a you better pay attention now before things get rough. He'll start trying to break things or similar. Orange tabby. I had an orange tabby for a while. I think uh, his name was Weasley. Hey there, Frank. Hey there. We're having a very chat oriented stream today. Uh, the kitties don't really seem to care. Uh, Interestingly, that kind of lines up, August. When I adopted Weasley, I asked people for name suggestions, and some people said things like, Nacho, that kind of thing. Uh, but a friend of mine suggested Weasley. They were reading a lot of, or they were a bit of a Harry Potter fan, uh, and suggested Weasley, like the Weasleys, because orange hair, and thus he became Weasley. So I guess kind of lines up with your orange cat. um, so I have no plans to adopt more at this time because at the moment 5 seems to be a good number for being able to keep track of all of them, pay attention to them. That's not to say that I wouldn't, but it can it's sort of in the same vein as I was talking about games with FOMO elements to them. Is I don't necessarily want to put myself in a position of, hey, look, another cat. Uh, so things like when I go to PetSmart to pick up like litter or something like that, I avoid the adoption center because I don't want my heart crushed. Um, so Ember was adopted when I swung by a shelter with some folks I knew. They were adopting a dog, and while we were waiting for that process to roll through, I was walking around looking, and there were some kittens up for adoption. And I saw Ember there, in all of her kitten glory, and saw her. She was very cute, very, very like social seeming. And when I turned to walk back to the counter to finish up with everybody, Ember reached out of the cage and tried to grab my arm. And I was destroyed and had to adopt her. And she has been a little sweetheart ever since. She recognizes her name, and she is very vocal. She speaks through trills, like all trills of kind of varying lengths and volumes. So you can get an idea of what she wants if you listen. Exactly, Frank. It was definitely a two type vulnerability. Let's see. Um, Sky was Sky was just a straight up adoption. I was looking around and he was a friendly cat. And Sky is a very friendly cat. If a stranger enters his area, he does not care. He will come over and say hi. He is the chillest cat, and he's also my diplomat. When new cats are introduced, he is the first one to go introduce himself. The others are often hostile, and everybody kind of goes behind their battle lines. Sky will walk right over, even if the new cat is backed into a corner in panic mode. Um, let's see. Weasley was a kitten when he was adopted. Comically, uh, the when I was looking at the cats and being introduced to them, that kind of thing, I pointed to one and said, "Hey, can you bring her out so I can see how she behaves, that kind of thing." And I was going through the process. I was going through all the process for it, and they had the paperwork out that lined up with the one that I pointed at, but they hadn't brought that one out. They brought one of her brothers out. And so I was going through all that paperwork and they said, "Oh, it's the wrong one." And it was like, "Well, it's the right one now." It's like, we're not swapping them out at the last minute because you brought the wrong paperwork. Let's see. Rorschach was the next one. Rorschach was a big tuxie. So twice Sammy's size. So your what is it? Is it your square cubed law? Is that what it's called? So he was a big boy, but not in the traditional like chonk fashion. He was a shoebox. He was muscle. When he moved, he had that sort of like panther look to him. He was a sweetheart. He was really gentle. He liked soft attention. He had the quietest little voice. Um, and he became super defensive of the rest of the cats in his adoptive family, such that when he was yes we did, yes we did. um let's see. uh to the extent he was briefly, uh my cats were cohabitating with a trio of other cats, so essentially two families of cats. um One of the other cats was very, I mean, one of the other cats is kind of a little jerk. He's not like a mean cat. Like he's not like a combative cat. But he would pick on mine, which was hilarious because at the time Tom was still alive, and Tom is a big old Maine Coon who was more than twice this cat's size. But Tom was gentle as all get out. So this tiny little cat could push him around. But Rorschach did not have those limitations. And as time went on, he became even more and more likely to defend those cats or defend mine. Uh, at least once, the little black cat was tried to pick on him, and he swatted the little guy so hard you heard him bounce off the ground. Uh, This all came to a head when Weasley, having been exposed to the cat bullying them, uh, realized not only could he be a bully, but he could use his mitts for violence too. And he became mad with power. Um, the and this created a problem because Weasley would go antagonize the other cats, and a couple of them would kind of fight back against him. He got a couple of scars from it, but Rorschach viewed the other cats fighting back as them attacking his family. So Rorschach went from defensive to essentially proactively defensive. One of the key incidents is he actually had them all cornered, like all of them at once. He sat in a hallway such that none of them could get past him. He had one cornered in one room, and at least two of them, I think, cornered in another room just by sitting there. So that's why there is a there is a demilitarized zone between the cat families. Um, Heaviest cat, Tom was about 20 pounds, 19 at his lightest, once he was an adult. And his brother Bob, while he was still alive, was heavier than that. Bob was my most timid cat, and he was a big boy. And like I mentioned, those two took after their grandfather instead of their father. Their father was close to, like, was at least 50% heavier than them. I have no idea on the kilograms conversion. You'll have to look that up. All right, we'll continue. We'll continue the game for a little bit here. See if we can get through some more of the investigation. I don't know that we'll get through the full investigation day today. Slamore's dressing room and the scene of the crime. It's kind of lightly guarded for being a crime scene. I'm not complaining. Makes it easier for us to go in. Um, I haven't been able to have any of the streams for it because I every time I try, I get a arbitrary copyright claim on music that they're not that the company has asserted that they wouldn't normally copy claim, but it's too much of a hassle to go through the counterclaim process. Um, it's Final Fantasy 14, and there is Shadowbringers and then Endwalker both have periods where um I have been close to or had to pause for a minute to deal with the tears. Emma gave us her okay, right? We can wander in and do as we like. Poke the crime scene, really get in there, pocket stuff, mess around, contaminate the evidence, all in the name of justice. Apollo justice. Ha 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 ha. How is Emma doing anyway? Oh, I hope she's not getting cavities from eating all those chocolate snackoos. Snackoos are apparently a real thing. The picture they use for them, I'd swear, looks like a bit of sausage, but they're apparently a chocolate covered like snack. That's the Gavineers' dressing room. They're all out on the investigation. Being backstage isn't half as glamorous without a band here. So it looks like the scaffold is no longer up. The scaffold where the body was moved to and Maki was found unconscious. That used to be kind of here in the center, but it has been removed. This is, I believe, Prosecutor Gavin's guitar case, which was he was unable to open it initially because somebody had stolen the keys that the key ring that he had, which had the keys to his guitar case and his motorcycle. Because his motorcycle keys were missing, he was. It took him longer to get to the concert than it should normally have, and then longer still because they had to break the case open so he could get his guitar. That keyring was subsequently found in the hands of the murder victim, like clutched in his hand. I figure since it's upwards of a week between us playing this game, I should do recaps. I have no vocal training, and I'm relatively self conscious of the idea. I can't say that I never would. It is something that interests me, but it's something that I would like to put effort in before I would set out to do it. Uh, it's why I would like to do model painting streams because I have done that and feel confident in at least doing it, but I don't have the stage set up for it, as it were. The that needs different equipment and camera positions and whatnot. That's a case for a contrabass, I think. You could fit 20 violins in there, I bet. May look like a violin, but it's a completely different instrument. Yeah, it'd be too conscious for me to consider. I'd be too self conscious to consider it just for vibes. But like I said, it's something that I would maybe someday in the future I would consider doing. You could fit 5 truces in there, I bet. Hey, are you comparing me to an instrument? Wonder who left it sitting open like that. Hmm. That's the ladder we used to climb up the stage tower. Okay, so that was the tower that they used for the show. That was the tower that I believe Gavin was standing on for that part of it. And then okay, so that's the ladder, and I believe that's a ladder, not a step ladder. Not a moment I'm likely to forget anytime soon. Me neither. I'll never be able to climb another tower again without thinking about it, you know? I'll never be able to climb a tower again, period. Uh, it is something that, at least Two Cats question, it is something that's kind of hard to avoid, at least somebody asking about it or the topic coming up in some way, is singing in VTuber culture because a lot of VTuber culture, weird that we can say VTuber culture now, you know, um, is rooted in Japanese idol companies and the structure thereof. So even the terminology, debuts, graduations, those kind of things, those are all very. Um, they share terminology. They share concepts. Uh, so a lot of people introduced to major things like Hololive develop expectations that that's how everybody else will work too. That's fading. That's fading over time because you have a lot of folks that aren't associated with those. Uh, but it's something that comes up. There's sometimes an expectation that it will be kind of the cute girl voice singing, you know. Why not a karaoke video? Well, two fronts on that. It's one, like I said, I'd be really self-conscious of it. I know that there's nothing wrong with, trying things out, but I'm also mentally, I am kind of the person that doesn't like performing something if I don't feel I have a grasp of it. Um, you know, so that's very difficult for me to do. The closest I've done is I have a couple of drawing streams where I just wanted to mess around with a cheap drawing tablet that I picked up. I don't think I did terribly, but it still feels kind of oof, you know. Uh, no, I don't think I played the karaoke game. I was active whenever I look through the Chilla's art games. I actively avoid any of them that have like a survival tag to them. The ones where, hey, if you do this too long or if you wait too long, the critter gets you. It's it was the part of night security that I didn't like the most. Is there is a point at which a thing starts chasing you, and you pair that with a really opaque puzzle, and it just like that's just I just don't find it fun. It's like I would love to play Amnesia Dark Descent, but as soon as they introduce the security guard monster, it took me right out of it. Don't worry, there is stream delay, and there's also time to think in typing. So always assume that your chat will be a little delayed, and that even I'll have to stop and think too. Definitely not a game progress day, but it's been a fun stream anyway. Still can't believe we found Maki and Mr. Latouche up on top of that tower. Yeah, I used to not like high places. Now I hate them. It's not like it would have been nicer if we found a dead body closer to the ground. Well, that reminds me. Daddy's bad with heights, too. No kidding. It was relatively traumatizing for Phoenix that time a burning bridge fell out from under him. He took me on a Ferris wheel ride a while ago. Halfway through, his face got all green and he mumbled objection over and over. Oh, the uh the main characters in the Ace Attorney games do have a sort of goofy charm to them. Hey there, Billy Boots. Welcome back. Maki played so beautifully. Yeah, like a real pianist. This is a dig at Phoenix. Phoenix is technically employed as a pianist. And like one of my shorts I mentioned, that makes him a professional pianist, despite the fact that Trucy and Phoenix both indicate he's bad at it. Like, he can play, but he's not good. Uh, Phoenix's actual job at the restaurant where he plays piano is to cheat at cards. He's decent at cards, so he doesn't have to cheat, but he knows how to cheat, and Trucy will be there to help him cheat. That's his actual job. So this is him taking a dig at Phoenix. That's just silly, Apollo. How can you call someone as good as Maki a pianist? Why, that's like throwing him in the same class as Daddy. There we go. Good thing Mr. Wright didn't hear that one. I like how her impression of the concept of a pianist is contaminated by the incompetence of her father. Because again, he's a professional pianist. Because somebody pays him to play badly, or at least to pretend to. This is going to come up. So, uh, there was a mini game where they had us use the soundboard to isolate the sound channels from the different instruments and the like. That's going to come up. There's going to be some audio recording where one of the channels lets us hear something that will be important to the case. Look at all the electronics. They must be sound related. Really? I mean, to be fair, it could be also video related, lighting related, that kind of thing. Doesn't seeing a bunch of machines like this make you want to just fiddle with them? Can I, Apollo, please? Oh, there's buttons. I need to push buttons. And for those of you that are new to the channel or haven't already, if you like what you're seeing, remember there are buttons down there for subscribing, liking, following, that kind of thing, and you should push them. Oh, can I please? No, no fiddling. You'll break something. If you're going to make an omelet, you got to break some eggs. But what are you trying to make by messing with the electronics? What will result from the breaking of them that is your goal? That's what Daddy always says. These eggs look kind of expensive. This is another thing that makes it like a traditional adventure game is you click things with the cursor to, interact with them. The like, oh, go to the piano and interact with it. Uh, the cursor is a nice advancement over the older adventure games. It used to be where what you would do to interact with it would be type go to piano, look at piano, that kind of thing. And the painful element of that is the phrase had to match what the developer expected. And this was before very extensive, like parsing for text, that kind of thing. So you had to make sure you had exactly the right keywords to make it work. Because it would do things like compare the sentence and look for terms like look, move, that kind of thing. And once that was there, each room would have a list of things that you could use that keyword on. And then you would have things like it's important that you move next to it first before you do a look at it. Otherwise, you won't get the right event. You get some of that in the Ace Attorney games during the trial sequence where you might know that all of this interrogation of a witness is going to come down to I need to show them this. This breaks their testimony apart. But you're not allowed to show them that until you go through all the intermediary steps that are irrelevant. If you look, cats, uh, there used to be a plate of armored glass there. It's there are fragments of it that you can see, which broke in a completely in an event completely unrelated to the passage of ownership of the factory. Definitely prototype testing related. So we can see all like a lot of their costuming, this helmet, this outfit, this poster, hat, yield sign. Even this guitar, these guitars are very police themed. This one has patrol on it, with the black and white. This one is, I don't know what this is, but it is a red version of the Blue Badger. So the red smear, I don't know why that's there. That is the Gavineers logo. Um, Traditionally, at least stereotypically, what you would see in this kind of circumstance is like a phone number written in lipstick. Someone drew well, it's drawn in lipstick. So we've got at least that part. Those are motorcycle gloves. Those are definitely motorcycle gloves. Prosecutor Gavin drives a motorcycle. His hog, which can be taken out of context. Nanofluid, cats. Nanofluid. Blue is the cooled input, and pink is the heated version that has to be run back through the core to cool. Another reference to the Noida mod. Lipstick. I'd like to wear lipstick someday. Oh, you don't use lipstick yet, Trucy? Daddy won't let me. Not until I learn to play piano, he says. You'll be waiting a long time then, I'm afraid. That is an interesting requirement. So, if it's you can't do that until you learn to play piano from me, and he doesn't know how to play piano, is a fun prerequisite. Yeah, yeah. Now the real question, cats, is if I would require Energon in cube form. Is that plastic bowl of okay? I meant to click on these drawers and it looked like I could, but the click zone of the plate, the soup tureen of stew is wider than there. Bet they use it for interrogating bad guys. Fess up to what you did, and we'll let you eat that stew. That's just mean. It gets worse. See, if the bad guy confesses, they say, okay, eat it. If you can. See, it's made of plastic. It's like you don't know which ones are the real bad guys. I think you need to take a deep breath, Trucy. There are some things that I have used auto clickers for. There are clicker games where I don't want to break my mouse. And then there are games that require you to like button mash in order to do something like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which I was playing up until Dragon's Dogma dropped. Um, and I will probably return to it someday, has a mini game that involves hit a button as fast as you can in the course of a couple of seconds. I have a macro key set up to hit that button really, really fast. Not familiar with that show, Cats, or streamer or similar. Okay, I think we're going to switch over to just some chat here. Because that's effectively what we're doing, and we're hitting the end of the stream anyhow. We did not accomplish a lot in the game, but that's okay. I like chatting streams. They're nice. They're cozy. And it's part of why I like these visual novel style games and books and whatnot, because we can just chat during them. And we weren't entirely derailed. Technically, it was still an Apollo Justice stream. It was on screen very often, and I occasionally read from it. It technically counts. Oh, well, I appreciate that, folks. I appreciate that. I am glad you find my streams entertaining. That's the point. Frank, it's like my programming streams. I will go into it and I will say things like, today we're going to, and that's not going to happen. I think the last streams, programming stream, started with, today we're going to work on refactoring the targeting. And immediately I was like, oh, wait, I, I need to fix this real quick. And we didn't touch the targeting at all. Oh, oh. I do have eyebrows, cats. Let me see. Eyebrows. Nope. Conveniently, not a lot of head damage. Oh, let's see. For the remainder of the weekend, the words, the streams are going to be programming streams. Like I mentioned a little earlier, I kind of want to put the Chilla's Art Spot the Difference game into the coming week. So we'll see when that falls, but I do plan to have it if I don't forget by then. We'll see. We'll see. But again, I hope everybody had a good time today. If you haven't already, remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more streams like this. We will be streaming Saturday and Sunday as well, and then I will try to get the next schedule up in a timely fashion. That'll definitely happen. uh, I don't remember the term for that, but that is a kind of classic anime hair antenna. The little flip of hair at the top. I also like to say it's an antenna, like a little like you know Wi-Fi radio transmitter kind of thing. Given that the hair is artificial, it's definitely possible for that. Oh, but yeah. Once again, I hope you all had a good night tonight, and I will see you next time.